Hello, this is Ben at Fitness Beyond 50, and this video is going to be on the hot topic, and that topic is racism here in America, particularly aimed at people of color. Just so you know, I'm 56 years old, and so I grew up in a time where racism was really right there in your face. Right now, it's more sophisticated because things happen after you leave the room. What happened to Mr. Floyd is very common. Unfortunately, it's very common. When it happened back then, the difference is there were no cell phones with cameras. There were not people videotaping it. So out of sight, out of mind, it didn't happen. I can tell you of numerous occasions that I was pulled over, and their probable cause was just because I was black. Automatically, I was pulled or had to get out of the car. They'd walk me to the front of the car and slam my head down on the hood of the car for no apparent reason. It happened so many times that I'd say, hey, I'll just go up here and slam my head on the hood myself. I even told one officer, give me your nightstick, I'll beat myself. Now, I'm going to tell you two situations, and there's so many, but I'm going to tell you of one that happened here locally. My daughter's mother is Caucasian and Hispanic. And in our court order, as far as visitation, when I was to pick her up, it was at the police station, but her aunt was never supposed to be a part of the exchange because she caused a lot of drama, and this is in the court order. So I pull up to the police station with my daughter in her car seat, and the first thing I notice is that her aunt is there. So basically what I do is I call the mother and I tell her that, hey, your sister's here, she can't be here, she causes so much drama, you know it's in a court order. So I said, I'm going to leave until you remove her from the premises. Before I could even pull out, the mother of my child runs out of the police station and she is screaming to the top of her lungs, he's stealing my child, he's stealing my child, he's kidnapping my child. I'm like, what the heck? She runs, seriously, and this woman is huge, and jumps on the back of my car while I'm backing out. So I have to stop. She gets off of the car finally and screaming. Now, anyone could have done anything. I'm at the police station. What if they'd have shot me thinking that I was trying to steal a child or kidnap a child with her screaming to the top of her lungs? I ended up going into a Sonic, contacting the police. They met me at Sonic, like 3 or 4 cruisers show up at Sonic. They said that they were going to ask the aunt to leave. Now, with everything that was going on, I've got a grown woman screaming at the police station that her child has been kidnapped or taken, right? She jumps on a moving car with a 3-year-old in the car. So I go into the police station and ask to speak to someone because I'd like to file a report and I would like to get the video of that incident. I was instructed to a captain. When the captain came out, he took me back to his office where we started talking, and I told him what happened, and I said I would like to have a copy of that video and also a report. He said no. I said, why not? He said, I'm just not giving it to you. I said, wait a minute. I said, are you not giving it to me just because it's a policy? Or are you not giving it to me because I'm black? And he point blank said, it's because you're black. I said, are you kidding me? So you're telling me that if I would have been the one that jumped on the moving car and ran out of this police station saying that someone was kidnapping my child or stealing my child, I said, this conversation would be from between the bars, wouldn't it? Be behind jail. He said, absolutely. So I would go to jail. And this happened not too far from where I live now. Okay? I also want you to know that this particular captain actually shot a young black male in the back while he was running. Said he had a weapon and he didn't have a weapon. It took forever. I will say at least this captain finally, well, actually they said he retired. Okay, so think about that. He was able to retire. He didn't lose his job, he retired. So, racism is rampant, okay, in America. It's just more sophisticated. I'll tell you another incident that happened to me in Arkansas. I was married, well, my significant other was a recovering drug addict, and our agreement was as long as she did not relapse back into drugs, or that, I would stay in the relationship. Well, this particular day, she had made a deal with the drug man, which I didn't know who was going to come to the house. Well, I showed up early, which she wasn't expecting. I knew the drug man, I knew his name, and I had told her, and I had told him, you need to stay away from each other. This is not acceptable. This drug guy actually even liked my significant other. So that kind of added to the situation. Well, anyway, once again, the drug man showed up at my house thinking that I wasn't there. So he's knocking on the door for her. And when I find out who it is, I turn to her and say, look, I warned you about this. Why is this man at the house? You're relapsing. This can't be done. So she wasn't having it. So when I said, look, the relationship's going to be over, she automatically starts screaming to the top of her lungs, help me, he's hurting me. I'm like, what? So she's screaming to the top of her to the top of her voice. The drug guy is actually now kicking on the door. I'm like, what the hell? So I pick up the phone, I call 911, and I tell them that there's a person kicking my door in, there's a domestic situation going on, and you need to get some officers here as soon as possible. So when I am on the phone with 911, when the door gets kicked in, so I don't know what this guy is going to do. So I immediately go to him, I put the phone down because I'm screaming, and I'm throwing him out of the house. So I turn to her, cops hadn't arrived yet, and this is what she does. Now she's Caucasian. She takes her hand, this is in the wintertime, she takes her hand and she smacks her face like this as hard as she can. She lifts her top and smacks her stomach as hard as she can. So it's all red and everything. I'm like, what is this woman doing? So when the cops arrive, now I explained to them, I called, this is what's going on. They talked to him evidently outside, they talked to her, and then 6 cops come into the house. And they come over to me and say, sir, we're charging you with domestic abuse. I was like, you got to be kidding. Domestic abuse, I'm the one who called you, and this is what she did, and this is a well-known drug guy. You know that. So I'm explaining to them what's going on, and one of the cops, he stands in front of me, and he looks me, and he knees me right in the nuts. Knees me right in the nuts. So I turn, even though, because my adrenaline is going, and about all 6 of them, they just jump on me. And I'm still trying to push them off and say, look, you got the whole story wrong. You had it all wrong. And basically, they're hitting me with the baton and everything. And they're like, oh, he's really strong. We can't get him down. And they're beating on me and beating on me. And then the significant other hollers out the door, he's in here beating up your officers. And next thing I know, there's 2 dogs and a whole host of cops in there. And the bottom line, they just told me, if you are black or Hispanic, you're automatically wrong. And that's what they told me. And I said, so it didn't matter that I called. Didn't matter that she smacked herself in the face and on the stomach and things of that nature. Like I would just make that up. But they just told me, I'm sorry, that's just the way it rolls here in this particular town in Arkansas. If you're a person of color, you are wrong. So here I was being hauled in for domestic abuse that I never did. And that's what's scary. Absolutely scary. The thing could have really. So I got charged with refusing to submit to arrest and resisting arrest. I mean, it's just crazy. So what I'm saying is it's very easy to end up with a record when you're a person of color when you haven't done anything. And it's absolutely scary that if a cop even pulls up beside me, let alone behind me, especially in a rural area, you do not want to be a person of color and get pulled over in a rural area where there's, you just don't want it to happen. you automatically get nervous, and you really should not be. Do I believe that every cop is bad? Absolutely not. Do I believe a lot of them are? Sure. But at the same time, unless you've lived this, you really can't really comment on it. And I'm tired of hearing people talk about people tearing up their own stuff. I know numerous of couples, when they get in fights at home, throw things at each other, punch holes in the wall. From China to even the Boston Tea Party, okay, to Ireland, there has been revolution after revolution after revolution. And guess what? People are acting out. And sometimes when people act out, you don't know how, you can't tell a person how to grieve, can you? Because people grieve differently. Would you rather a group of people who have been oppressed for so long show up bearing arms? No, you wouldn't want that, would you? You have the haves and the have-nots. And when the haves have been oppressing people, from Indians to people of color since the beginning of time, sometimes people have had enough. We can make all the excuses that we want. But when people act out, a lot of times it's just purely out of anger. Will there be opportunists that are going to take things just to be taking them? Absolutely. But that's black, white, yellow. People are opportunists, period. The bottom line is, if you're a person of color, you should not fear being pulled over by the police. You should not have to worry if you're going to survive it. There's different things that you have to do when you're a person of color if you get pulled over. You don't make any sudden moves. You repeat things back to the officer. If you have to reach for something, you ask him or her, is it okay if you can get that insurance card or what have you out of the glove compartment? What I've learned to do as a black man is to keep everything handy right here in the console. So when I get pulled over, I automatically have it in my hand. Try to have your driver's license, your insurance, registration right there in your hand so you don't have to reach for anything, because any sudden movement could give them what they consider probable cause to shoot you. People talk about, well, all police officers aren't the same and you're stereotyping them all. Are you not doing that to the black people or people of color right now? You're saying that just because some people decided to loot, then basically that takes away what takes away from what happened to Mr. Floyd. It does not. It does not. Don't cherry pick this situation just like certain people cherry pick things out of the Bible to meet their requirements. The bottom line is there is a double standard, and it needs to stop. I just wanted to make this very, very short video to just give you a couple situations that I've been in, but I can tell you of numerous situations that I have been in that had it been recorded, possibly something could have been done. This has been at Fitness Beyond 50 saying, be safe, learn to love one another, and what is my other deal? Get up, get off the couch, no excuses, get your exercise on. This has been at Fitness Beyond 50 saying, have a great, great day.